Hey gang, Ronan here. As you can see in this game, I am playing the Tier 10 Imperial Japanese Navy battleship Bungo. And I have to say I really like this ship. I am not what you would consider a battleship main, in fact, far from it. I am a DD main. But I found this ship to be very fun to play. Uh, what did I like about it? Well, primarily that the guns are really accurate. There is one example in this 15-minute compilation of the dispersion and or sigma all combining to, well, maybe not to lose the game. I think we were going to lose anyway, but I had a light cruiser at close range and really should have blapped it, but it just didn't happen. But for the most part, these guns are extremely accurate and they hit really hard. So what can I tell you about the guns before we get into kind of the meat and potatoes of this thing? Well, they are 457s. You got 10 of them. You got 5 turrets, 2 barrels per turret. 30-second base reload, 45-second 180-degree turn time on the turrets, 25-kilometer base firing range. And the HE shells do a 7,300 HP max damage with 35% fire chance. And the AP shells do a max damage of 13,500 HP damage per shell. Now you can see my teammates, they're all kind of headed to the side where I spawned. I like to try and stay in the middle. This is my first shot in my first game in the ship. And I do have basically it's a spotter plane that adds 10% to your range, and you get a reduction of 10% on your dispersion. And you can see the first shot was pretty decent against an angled battleship. Second shot there on the San Martin, pretty good damage. And the Georgia broadside at 11 clicks, almost 40k damage, just about finished him off. I'll finish him off here with the next one. There we go. He had enough time to get in there and turn around, and our CV just kind of ignored the fact that he was in there. I was really hoping to be able to take that San Martin to task, but I didn't get the chance, and that really came back to bite us later in the game. Our CV player was, I think, just very inexperienced. You can see this is a fairly close game. We're up on points a little bit, but we're down 5 ships. The red team is down 6, and this game does plainly flip. I've been chasing the Goliath a little while at this point, and he's been angled well. I've been chipping away at his damage. His heal is phenomenal, of course, and I'm finally able to drag him down, in part due to the fact that he was trying to turn into the smoke. And I'm able to finish him off. I was really hoping that the CV would spot the San Martin in the cap, but he waited a long time. I actually had to just kind of drive over there and see him. The CV was focused entirely on the fact that he was, being chased around a little bit by the U-2501 on the red team, who really had done nothing. And the Yorktown, you would think, would be able to deal with that, but he didn't. Now, here's the shot that I mentioned to you where the dispersion was just horrible. Should have easily finished this ship off. And the shells go everywhere but where I wanted them. And you'll see in the next volley what is usually going to be happening with these guns. But the game is going to end before that I get that chance. We had 23 seconds left here, and we hadn't really lost. And if I had been able to get this shot off before our sub was taken out, I might have been able to, maybe. I mean, you never know. But that is more like what it normally is. And, we'll take a look at the numbers here. 270,000 damage. Felt pretty good about that with 6 citadels. This is my first game in the ship. 111 target hits with the shells. Shot down 12 aircraft, sank 3 ships. You can see a lot of overpens. If you're shooting anything that's, like destroyers, light cruisers, you're going to get a lot of overpens. But the shells hit hard. I did manage to top the scoreboard on the losing team with 1,752 base XP. Feel pretty good about that. Tip of the hat to the San Martin player on the red team. He did a phenomenal job, kept himself in the game all the way to the end, and I think was largely responsible for their win. Spread the damage around quite a bit. You can see 3 ships there with over 75,000 damage, and then some kind of chip damage on a few other things. Base XP, pretty decent. Hadn't loaded up or anything with bonuses. Most of the damage came from AP, a little bit of HE that I didn't show you here. Potential damage, about 500,000. And was kind of all over the map there. This next game played out a little bit differently. I did much less damage, and in the very beginning part of the game, I like to, when I'm playing a battleship, I like to stay in the middle where I can keep my guns kind of anywhere they're needed. And I found myself sort of alone in the middle in this game, and that meant that I didn't have as many opportunities because there was a DD that kind of pushed down toward the Charlie cap, and our Shima left, and well, you'll see. That left me in a position where I wasn't really able to get the guns hot until later in the game. And once I did, the game kind of turned a little bit into a steamroll. And I think, getting back to how accurate these guns are, you know, you've got a DD there that's angled, and I was still able to put 3 shells on it. Now we've got a broadside Victoria, and this shot really hurt as I came out from behind the islands, and you know, he's going to fire back, but almost 30, what, a little over 35.5 in terms of damage with a couple of citadels. You're going to get a lot of that if you position reasonably well. Now I'm trying to finish off this Ohio because I don't want him to run alongside our Missouri and sink our Missouri. I just have to clear the island. You can see I've got the spotter plane up for the additional help with the dispersion, and boom. And at this point, we're still way down on points, but we do manage to turn it around, secure some caps, and you know, here I'm not exactly sure where the DD is. I'm spotted, so that's why I don't have my nose directly at the smoke, because I figured he ran that direction. He did, and I'm bringing the guns out, and I do fire, but just as I fire, the secondaries take him out. So I was celebrating a little bit getting a secondary kill in a Japanese battleship. That doesn't happen all that often. Again, the gun's really accurate. This first volley, it's tough to gauge where somebody's going on the edge of the map, but you know, I just adjusted slightly, and then the next one finished him off. Yeah, it wasn't terrific, but still 3 citadels, 54 shells on target, 86,000 plus damage, and was able to contribute for the win. So I felt pretty good about that. How often do you see a Japanese battleship capture a couple of caps? That's another thing I was I was celebrating. Okay, so this game, this was a really great game. With the Nakhimov CV on the red team, I found myself challenged in multiple ways, because that CV decided that I was target 1. At least that's how it felt, and I'm sure you've been there and have had that feeling before yourself. So I spawned in the middle. I wanted to be able to help out at the Bravo cap, and primarily the Bravo cap and the Charlie cap to start the game. I don't want to abandon the center. You can see my position now, a few minutes into the game, as I try to put a shot over the island on the Sovietsky Soyuz. And it looks pretty good. Picked up a citadel, almost 27,000 damage. And yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. And this is where the CV pain kind of begins. And it keeps up through most of the game. And you can see that the Austin on the red team wasn't too happy with our Malta either. Yeah, it's tough playing CVs. I mean, I've done a little bit of it, and the CV hate is real. I've lost more karma playing CVs than anything else, just for being in a CV. One shot over the island, yeah, a little over 10K, right, 11K, somewhere in that ballpark. And I'm just trying to chunk damage. The teams are, at this point, both teams are down 5 ships, but we lost our Malta. This destroyer that got behind me, he took out our CV, And I'm just trying to outrun as many of as I can. I do get tagged by one, and now I've just got to try and rotate the guns to be able to shoot him while navigating between that gap. If I beach here, I'm probably going to die. So I've got the guns moving around. It's going to leave me an opportunity to put some damage on the Shima, and then the Napoli is able to finish him off. Now I need to rotate the guns the other way and turn around, because once the Shima's gone, the big threat is basically dead ahead of where my ship is right now. So I'm just going to try and get out of the cap. You can see I've managed to turn. Here comes the CV again. I've shot down 16 aircraft now, which I know isn't good. I mean, the most I've ever shot down in any game was in the Georgia. I think I shot down 80 or something. But all right, so he's not going to sink me here. I'm so glad I didn't flood. And I've got to navigate through these islands without beaching myself and try to finish off this Austin. The Napoli secondaries are not liable to do the job. And boom goes the hammer, and Austin is out of the game. So it's 5 ships to 5 ships. The red team has a little bit of a lead, and here comes the CV again. So I'm just going to try and line myself up to run parallel to the direction of the torpedoes. Keep my fingers crossed that I only eat one, and try to get a shot on the Grosse Kurfürst over the islands. Let's see, I'm rotating the guns. Got the ship lined up as best as I think I can. Make the shot, and just hope I don't get a flood. Then I'm going to turn back toward the islands. The CV just comes right back. I pick up a little more damage on the GK, which will help to get that one finished off. Our Fletcher has secured the Alpha cap. Hey, look at that. Let's see what I can do to help here. Guessing he's going to continue running away from the Fletcher. Looks like he is. Now I'm going to push closer to these islands south of me, which I've just kind of been pinned in here most of the game. Then once I get close to them, I'm going to turn hard to port. Try to get my guns on the sub if he tries to surface again in an effort to secure the cap, because at this point we have a commanding lead. And then I have to use the island that's on my port side against a possible torpedo strike. So I need to pick up speed. And here come the aircraft again. And there's such a strong fire chance with those skip bombers. Got the guns more or less where I think I need them. Make sure I'm not going to beach myself. And he pings me here. I think I can outrun around the edge of this island here before the torpedoes arrive. That should do the trick. And the CV has to be really close, right? Look how fast this next strike came in. And they are right on top of me, so I know the CV he's close. I'm just praying I don't get a flood. Yay. And I'm fully expecting when I come around this corner to see that. I don't have the HP to survive another strike. I know the strike's coming, so I get the shot off immediately. And no sooner do I get the shot away than evil CV finishes me off. But we've got a really big points lead. The Fletcher does a great job keeping himself alive, and there's the victory. So what do I think of the Bungo? I think it's a really, really fun battleship to play. The guns are super accurate. You can use the spotting plane to increase your dispersion or decrease your dispersion and increase your range by 10%. You can see I got 113 plus thousand damage, 3 kills, a Citadel, 14 secondary hits, and shot down 29 aircraft in a very fun game. Topped the scoreboard with 2364. Our Fletcher also played really well with 2199, and the Sovietsky Soyuz and Kurfürst on the red team also played very well. They were in number. Almost half their team ended up with over 1,000 base XP in a loss. So well played, red team. I really appreciate you joining me. If you enjoyed this, I hope you will like and subscribe, maybe tell a friend, and I'll see you next time.